The Lord has qualified you, and He doesn't need us to be perfect in that qualification. He just wants us to remember we should be just one step better than the other person the Lord wants us to help, because you have had the experience, and so you can talk about it. Even if it's just a step more than the one who is reading, they will be ministered to by one thing perhaps that you're saying. So do not let fear hinder you. So you can imagine, as an older stay-at-home mom, you have systems around you that can work to your advantage so that you can thrive in your purpose, your experience, however little, however significant, however other people know better. What you know is what somebody needs to be able to thrive. Be the answer to the question somebody is really asking somewhere that you have, but you have allowed fear to hinder you. Welcome to the Formations of a Noble Woman podcast, a show where we talk about womanhood, hospitality, discipleship, and budget-friendly living, all from a biblical perspective. We also have resources that would help you to thrive as a woman, as a wife, and as a mother. And you will find some of the links to what I'm talking about in the show notes below. I'm your host, Clara, of formationsofanooblewoman.com. Welcome to the episode today. As an older stay-at-home mom, I want to assure you that you have a lot to offer. And of course, I will explain what I mean as we go along the video. But I thought to share this because I found that as older stay-at-home moms, at least 40 plus, or if you're getting to your 40s, or even in your mid-30s, many times we allow fear to hinder us from going forth and thriving in our purpose, going forth and serving others. Because remember, your purpose has a lot to do with ministering to others. Of course, if you read the scripture, we know that our purpose here on earth is to glorify God, and through that, I believe the Lord is using us to be a blessing to others. And so I know if you're watching this, perhaps you have allowed fear to hinder you. You have probably allowed the fear of what people will say to hinder you. And I know that because I am right there, of course, in my in my late 40s, if I would say, and many times I have just kept back because I'm thinking, what will people say? I'm thinking, I know people have called it imposter syndrome, just thinking, does what I have to say really count? I think an expert will say it even better, but I want to explain in today's video why I believe you have a lot to offer, and if the Lord is leading you to do something or to start something, I want to believe you're the right person to be able to share the knowledge of what you have, to be able to trust the Lord to supply to your need in the position you already are as an older stay-at-home mom. So without any further ado, I will get into those 5 reasons why I believe you have a lot to offer. And the first reason why I believe as an older stay-at-home mom you have a lot to offer is you have experience. Unlike a younger stay-at-home mom or a younger woman, you have a lot to offer just because of experience. I don't know if you remember during our days when people would apply for jobs, what would be looked for is experience. And I remember many times, like personally when I cleared college, a lot of us had to do a lot of internship programs, had to do a lot of volunteership work just to gain experience. So that if somebody sees you have 2 years experience, you have 5 years experience, they can trust you. And in the same way, I want to believe that as a stay-at-home mom, when you have stayed for some time and people can tell, this is a seasoned stay-at-home mom. She has even raised her children. They're in college. We can see them. They are doing well. Just the fact that in the homeschooling space, you have done that. People can be able to trust you because of that experience. I'm thinking even of the entrepreneurial space, or if you have worked in an area for a few years and you're over 40, people can trust your advice a lot more than they can trust the advice of somebody who has just begun. So I don't know whether you see the upper hand you have in terms of just being over 40. And because I'm talking especially about stay-at-home moms, you have been there so that people can trust trust the systems that you share, for example, to maintain a home. And if you add to that homeschooling, for some of us, people can trust the fact that you can handle a home, you can handle your children, and perhaps you even have a thriving entrepreneurial gig. People can trust you because of the experience that you have had over time. And remember, also with the experience also comes pitfalls that perhaps you have encountered, and you can share how you came out of that pitfall. So imagine what you are keeping from others just by fear, telling yourself so and so can explain it better. And something that I have liked also as I have listened is sometimes you don't even need a lot of experience. Somebody just needs somebody who has taken a few more steps beyond them, to be able to trust them. And they will even trust them more because they can say, yeah, you're just in your early 40s, but I trust you because you can identify with me a little more. Now that I'm perhaps in my early 30s, I feel I'll identify with you more than even a much older stay-at-home mom. So you can see you have the experience, and don't be afraid. I'm saying this also having been there, having been pushed back by fear, pushed back by what people will say in the many things that I do. Sometimes I will find myself even fearing to share a blog I've written or a video I've done because I'm thinking someone else will do it even better. I'm thinking someone will wonder, what is this that you're sharing with us? It is so obvious. And it's funny that now that I have the experience of YouTube, the recipes that are doing so well, go to Recipes and Hospitality with Clara channel to see that. Most of the videos that are doing well on that channel are the very simple videos that I normally will assume, that one is too simple, I don't want to do it. When I discovered that secret, I stopped being overly concerned about sharing very good classic, recipes that are unique. I realize people are not necessarily looking for unique things. They are looking for just a way of doing something. I remember when, let me give this example, when my no meat pilau recipe that I shared started blowing up. It's very shocking that one evening I wondered why I haven't shared. I don't have a video for my YouTube channel. So I thought, but today I'm making no meat pilau, a pilau that I make a lot. And so I thought, why not capture what I'm doing for supper today? And so I captured that video and posted it on YouTube. Of course, as it is with recipes, they may not gain traction immediately, but the moment it started gaining traction, I was very shocked, and it became the first for quite a number of months on YouTube on my channel. Is when I got to understand, people are not looking for unique things. They're looking for simple everyday things, and you imagine they know them, but a lot of people don't know, and they just want that. So can you imagine your experience, however little, however significant, however other people know better, what you know is what somebody needs to be able to thrive. And the second reason why I believe you have a lot to offer, and therefore if the Lord is pushing you to do something, do not let fear hinder you. And that's because when you're perhaps 40 plus, or an older stay-at-home mom, you have a proven strategy concerning certain ideas that the Lord has given you in your line, whether it's in your professional line, whether it's in your homeschooling line, whether it is in your homemaking line, you have a proven strategy. Because like I said in the earlier point, perhaps you've gone through ups and downs. If you have an entrepreneurial, something gig that you're doing, you can tell, if I go this path, I'm going to fail. But if I go that path, I'm going to make it. So because you failed, you knew that path will fail, and so you took this other path. I remember personally when the Lord led me to start a YouTube channel, and many times I advise those who will ask me questions about YouTube on that. At least I know what works, I know what doesn't work, I know what kind of thumbnails work. I'm not perfect, by the way, in that, but just observing the trends, sometimes I can tell now these thumbnails don't seem to be working here, and I can tell some of the mistakes I have made with past videos, even on this channel. And so as I think about that, I can advise somebody else who is starting that journey, especially in the recipe space. Sometimes this particular channel, I'm still trying to figure out a lot of things, but that one, my main channel, I would say, Recipes and Hospitality with Clara, I'm really grateful that the Lord has continued to teach me a few things that I can share with someone. I'm not perfect. I am not yet at 100,000 subscribers. Perhaps at the watching of this video, I might have reached or not. Just getting to the 50,000 subscribers mark, but I have a little bit to say concerning that. And when the Lord opened my eyes to that, I just started even writing blogs about that. Now that here on YouTube, I don't talk about YouTube, I thought now that I am a stay-at-home mom serving the Lord within the womanhood area, I know there are women who are trusting the Lord to start a YouTube channel or to start another entrepreneurial something on the online space. I could share what I already know. So I just started writing a few blogs concerning that to be a blessing to others in the process. So have I made it to 1 million subscribers before I decide to do that? No. With the little that I know, I share, because I can see a proven strategy. And one of the strategies, of course, that for example, I failed in, and I'm willing to share that, is starting 2 YouTube channels at the same time. As you know, this is not the channel that when you go to Recipes and Hospitality with Clara, of course, some people have been able to figure out this is the same person. But I didn't know that. I just thought, oh, you can start any channel you want. But I knew later on that if I want to trust the Lord, even in the area of provision, starting 2 channels is an uphill task. That's a mistake I made, but I know in all things God works for good, and so I have continued with the channels as they are. But I can tell you I have learned a ton of lessons being here on YouTube, and you can see at least I have a proven strategy that I know works on YouTube, and I have made countless mistakes. That's why probably I have grown slower than I should, but I'm grateful for that experience as a 40 plus stay-at-home mom, and I can minister to someone else. And the other thing I found about being 40 plus is also that people tend to listen to an older person sometimes, because with a younger person you're thinking, they're still trying out a few things here and there, but sometimes just seeing that you're older, some people will listen. So that's why you have a lot to offer, even if you think it's tiny. I don't have a lot of thoughts about YouTube, but the tiny one that I know, I will share. The third reason why I think you have a lot to offer and the Lord can use that for His glory is that you can monetize the skills you already have. You don't have to go out of your way to learn other skills. Some of the people who have ministered to my heart, some of the people from whom I have bought things, is because they already had the skill and they just chose to thrive in that rather than try to buy to buy another program in order to learn a new skill. Just what you already have. Again, going to my example, because that's the one that is coming to my mind of our other YouTube channel. I'm grateful that the Lord had graciously given me the skill in terms of cooking. I didn't even think this was a big deal until we started working with the younger people, and I would share some of my recipes, like for some of us on the other channel know one of the ones that really led in terms of being very popular for a season was the dropscone recipe, and I would share that recipe, and I would be surprised at how that recipe would make rounds among the young people, and they loved it. We moved to another area. and people got to know that recipe again. It made rounds there, and people would keep asking me on to send, please send me this recipe, send me this one. Others started telling me start a book. And then when COVID-19 came, I remember the Lord just putting it in my heart to start a channel. And of course, I struggled, wondering, who am I? I am not even a professional chef. What do I have to offer? But I went ahead and started a channel. And amazingly, the Lord, as much as it's trickling in, especially these tough economic times, people are not watching the ads so much, and so it's just barely taking care of some part of our need. But I believe it's going to grow in future as the economy gets better. But I have been grateful that that's a skill that I didn't even think it could be monetized, but it's getting monetized. And of course, I pray this channel will also get monetized in future. And I just believe some of the content I share, some of the things I'm practicing in the homemaking space are somehow monetizable in the world we are living in. But many times I can tell you, as women, me being an example, we allow fear to hinder us. Sometimes I write a blog and I post it on the blog. I put it on the social media for people to read, and then I delete it because I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what do people think about this blog? Maybe they will wonder what's her problem. Look at the pictures she's getting, because of course I will get pictures from Canva and all that just to communicate a message better. But I just allow myself to be hindered by what will people say. And so I don't do something. But I want to tell you, as a 40-plus-year-old, you know what you're talking about. For example, when you talk about homemaking, you know what you're talking about when you're writing a blog recipe. You know what you're talking about when you talk about prayer, because you have had the experience, and so you can talk about it. Even if it's just a step more than the one who is reading, they will be ministered to by one thing perhaps that you're saying. So do not let fear hinder you from becoming all that God has ordained for you to be, and from monetizing some of the skills that you have. And just go over that fear of what will people think, what will people say, will anybody buy? Those are the fears I'm struggling with, and trusting the Lord to overcome, and sharing so that you can also overcome and be the answer to the question somebody is really asking somewhere that you have, but you have allowed fear to hinder you. And keeping in mind, Titus, too, the older women, you're an older stay-at-home mom, train the younger women in those aspects of how to love their husbands, to love their children, to be subject to their husbands, to be busy at home. People wonder, what will I do all day? You can share what you do all day so that a younger woman can be blessed. To be sober, the other things he says, pure, good, discreet. How do you do those things? How are you doing them as a younger stay-at-home mom? You can share that and be a blessing to someone else. And then the other reason why I believe you are the right one, you have what it takes to minister to someone else and to be a blessing to others, is as a stay-at-home mom, you might already know how to live within your means. You have mastered that. You are not, and sometimes even just being at home helps you not to be in competition with the Joneses, and so you've learned to live within your means. And therefore, if you're going to start something, for example, a venture that will take time but with a little financial risk, you can be able to go back to where you had mastered that art of living within your means, cut a few things on the budget for a time, so that your venture can be able to pick up and you're on your feet to be able to now continue with your life as usual. And so I find with that kind of experience, you can take a little more risk. Thank God also for some stay-at-home moms who are older. You've already educated your children, so school fees is not an issue. For some of us, got married later, so we are still in that. Perhaps you don't have a lot of expenses. You've even downsized because your expenses are not as many as they used to be when your children were growing up. And so you can take a little more financial risk, and you've learned to live within your means. And so it's possible to start something when you're older. Sometimes even some of the things you established earlier, you're reaping from the same. And so you can start something easily that could be a blessing to others, whether it's a business venture, like the Proverbs 31 woman. And so you have a little more advantage than others. The one that I would also say is, as an older stay-at-home mom, you know that you can reduce overheads by having your home as the base of your entrepreneurial venture or business, and you will even have the help of some of your family members until you get your feet off the ground, just by the fact that you're an older stay-at-home mom. Can you imagine, as a younger woman or a young stay-at-home mom, perhaps your home is small, perhaps you're just starting out, and so a lot of these things are a bit tricky. You may not have older family members. I think of, in a little way, as much as, like I said, YouTube our other channel may not be monetized to an extent that it can take care of all our needs. It was doing well, by the way, until the economy, and so it started going down, and it's at one of its lowest. But at least I can afford something small for my daughter to help me with the editing. And so you can find, or even just creating an environment, helping me with photos, something that if I did professionally, it would cost me a lot. So you can imagine, as an older stay-at-home mom, you have systems around you that can work to your advantage so that you can thrive in your purpose, especially when you're starting something new. And I'm really grateful that as I reflect on this, so a lot of what I'm doing, I do from the home setting. So in the process, I can be able to reduce a lot of overhead costs. So I just need to trust the Lord to overcome the fear. And that's why I have told you, as an older stay-at-home mom, you have a lot to offer. Do not allow the enemy to hinder you from being all that God ordained for you to be, because of fear of what people will say, because of fear of whether you qualify. The Lord has qualified you, and He doesn't need us to be perfect in that qualification. He just wants us to remember we should be just one step better than the other person. The Lord wants us to help so that we can help others and thrive in our purpose, even as stay-at-home moms who are getting older, and yet we can still thrive in letting the Lord use us with the gifts He's given us, the skills He's given us, with where we are, to be a blessing to others, and in the process He can also take care of what we need. So trusting the Lord with you also to thrive as a stay-at-home mom. And I know I'm getting there, as much as it's not easy, but I'm getting there to continue thriving. So we will pray, as is always our custom, and just trust the Lord that He will work in you, work in me, as He helps us. Indeed, Father, You've not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, of a sound mind. Cause us to thrive in the purpose You have ordained, especially as older women who have experience, who have what it takes in You to be a blessing to others. Help us not to be afraid. Help us to trust You to use us, so that we will see You glorify Your name in our lives as we minister to others, and as we allow Your Spirit to work in us to glorify You with our lives. Thank You, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen.